Hey guys, this is Mrs. Houghton, and I am going to be teaching you a lesson on expository and persuasive writing. In this lesson, you're going to learn the difference between expository and persuasive writing, the real-world types of expository and persuasive writing, and how to best organize expository and persuasive writing. So, sit back, relax, and learn. Expository writing is writing that conveys information and explains ideas. This may include elements of narration or narrative type writing, descriptive writing, but mostly when we think of expository writing, we think of explanation. So notice this little guy down here. He is proclaiming the important word is to explain. Expository writing is used to deliver information about an issue, subject, method, or idea. These are the different types of expository writing. These are just a couple of examples. Analogy, cause and effect, and analysis. And as you know, at the end of semester 1, we wrote analysis papers of a literary work, and in Mrs. Houghton's class we analyzed young adult zombie literature. An analogy is a comparison between two things to try to explain an idea. Sometimes these things might seem unrelated, but the explanation of these two unrelated things helps you to understand an idea. Example, memory is to love what the saucer is to the cup. And I have a picture here of a little panda bear cup, especially for Julia Craft. But you can see the cup sitting on the saucer. They're comparing that to memory and love. Another example is you are as annoying as nails on a chalkboard. You can get a really big picture idea there of that person's kind of characteristic. They're very annoying. Here's two children making an analogy. Broom is to vacuum as computer is to, and this young lady is like laptop. So those are examples of analogies. Another type of expository writing is analysis, and you, my dear children, should be very familiar with analysis. This is to break down ideas into smaller chunks in order to answer the question, so what? This is where we bring out the essential elements of a text or an idea, and we break it down so that we can dig deeper into it. And I have a picture of a guy who's trying to solve some big problem, and he has everything broken out so that he can see all the small pieces to get to a deeper understanding of what he's analyzing. Another example of expository writing is cause and effect. This is often written in science, but any discipline can have a cause and effect paper, and this is to break down the reasons for and consequences of an action. So you can see in the illustration, if this triggers this, then all of this is going to go through, and it's just kind of an illustrative way to think about cause and effect. There are two main ways to or one essential way, to organize expository writing, and we call that the what, why, T chart. So if you've got a piece of evidence, you have to think about why that evidence supports your claim. And the claim in expository writing is known as the thesis. And as we know, your thesis is your central argument, and then you have to come up with reasons that support that thesis. So again, this is a great way to explain anything and organize your thoughts. What, why, T-chart. If you're doing a cause and effect, this is another way to think of what, why. Cause, effect, what, why. They're kind of interchangeable. So this is another way to organize your writing. So now let's switch gears from expository to persuasive writing. And you may see some connections. So persuasive writing uses strong arguments and evidence in order to urge, influence, move, or entice someone to do something or believe something. Here are a couple of real-world examples of persuasive writing. Propaganda, which we talked about in Course 1, Advertisement and commercials, those are around you all the time. Editorials, and then letters or emails, which is going to be our assessment for this unit. Propaganda, which you should be very familiar with by now, is writing aimed towards influencing the attitude of a community. I showed you this illustration during the week of Course 1, Make Art Not War. And here are some more examples of the Make Art Not War propaganda movement. These are very simple types of printed propaganda that are trying to get people to not like war and think it's silly and be more into making art. So it's kind of a liberal propaganda movement. Advertisement and commercials are probably the most familiar type of persuasive writing for everyone. This is writing in media aimed towards convincing and enticing people to buy something. So, for instance, I have this printed advertisement to try to get you to buy an iPod. Feel the sound. They're immediately trying to tap into your pathos with this, and so that's a pretty strong advertisement. We've got this other old school looking carnation milk advertisement to try to get you to buy carnation milk, which is that canned milk. You know, your mom gets it when she makes fudge or some kind of desserts usually. And it's got this pastoral scene of all these little cows in a field, and it's supposed to make you feel happy and like you really want to buy it. So advertisement and commercials. Then we have editorials, and editorials are typically published in newspapers. Editorials are opinion pieces that try to convince the audience to believe the author's ideas. For instance, this person is trying to convince us that it's time for cell phone etiquette, and they go on to write their opinions and back them up with facts. So this is either written by someone in the public who submits it to a newspaper and they publish it, and there are oftentimes on most newspaper staff, there are editorial writers who go ahead and write these for the newspaper as well. Letters and emails are messages intended to convince a specific person or audience of an idea. So if we are to write a persuasive letter, which you will be doing, they need to be done in a certain way. And so let's talk about that. Anytime you're doing any kind of persuasive writing, whether it's an essay, a letter, an editorial, this thought process can even be used for propaganda and commercials. There's a really great technique to be used. I put note this technique would be most useful in a persuasive essay, letter, or debate because it's kind of a lengthy process. But if you want to have the best persuasive writing, if these elements are present, you will be in tip-top shape. So, first thing is you must know your topic, right? Obviously. So for this example, let's use the topic homework. You have to decide where you stand on the topic, and this is called taking a position. So my position for this example is I think homework is a good idea if it is purposeful and not busy work for students. Then you want to organize your arguments and evidence. And as you guys know, my favorite number is 3, and I think 3 is a really good number for arguments and evidence. If you have 3 strong arguments with ample evidence to back it up, that's a good set. So my 3 arguments are: homework helps students establish good work habits, homework expands the school day for students who need more time, and homework can be fun. Now, as you can see, I need to gather some evidence. So I would need to go into the library and online to credible sources, academic sources, to find evidence of research that backs up those claims. Then I always want to keep in mind that there's always 2 sides to an argument. And in good persuasive writing, we also kind of recognize the counterclaim or the argument against our position. So I went online to Duke University's website, and I found in their educator classes this interesting article about homework. And within that article, they said the counterclaim to assigning homework was opponents, or people against homework, counter that if it can also have a negative effect. They argue it can lead to boredom with schoolwork since all activities remain interesting only for so long. Homework can deny students access to leisure activities that also teach important life skills. And then it goes on to say, like, parents can get too involved and maybe they're doing the homework for the kids, or they're pressuring their child or confusing them. So these are the counterclaims to my argument. I want to actually put this in my letter or my paper and recognize that there is a counterclaim. But then the fifth thing that I do is I state a strong rebuttal. A rebuttal is my chance to explain why the counterclaim is wrong. My rebuttal is parents should be involved in their child's learning. So doing some of the learning at home will give parents a chance to help. Homework that is purposeful and not busy work will not interfere with a child's social life. The sixth thing that you want to do excuse me, is finally urge your audience to join you with real-world actions they can take. And this is called a call to action. So my call to action is, teachers everywhere, unite. Don't be afraid to assign purposeful homework to your students, but never assign busy work. This is a link to a video by a teacher that I don't know, but I found it on YouTube, where she compares expository and persuasive writing. So this is a good video for you guys to listen to. I think that's a really important point that she's making in that video, that the building blocks of a good piece of writing are similar no matter what genre we're talking about. I'm going to stop her here and go ahead and link the rest of this video under this lesson. So go ahead and watch the rest of this video for ideas comparing expository and persuasive writing. But I hope you walk away from this lesson really understanding the difference and similarities between expository and persuasive writing, and the different kinds of real-world examples and how to organize your writing.